Welcome to another episode of Waves of Wisdom. In this episode, I'm going to talk to somebody who is a very prominent figure in the professional speaking industry, especially in UK and Ireland. She is currently the president of the Professional Speakers Association UK and Ireland. She is very passionate about human behavior and profiling people. So she calls herself as a people reader. All the way from UK, here in Maldives, I would like to welcome Michelle Mills Porter. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
Doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good. How are you enjoying Maldives?
I'm loving it here in Maldives.
Right.
You know how much I love the Maldives.
Yes. It's not your first time. I'm sure you're quite familiar
my
with.
fifth time.
Yeah, all right.
I wish it was my 50th.
Yeah, all right.
Just my fifth.
Yeah. So that's great. Welcome back again. Then.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Michelle, can you tell us a little bit about your growing up years and your past career and how you found your passion into what you are doing now?
Well, I was always a bit of a misfit, actually. I didn't really fit in. I was always very different, you know. I was always trying to get one foot outside the box, do things a different way.
All right.
Even when all the kids at school liked one particular band, I wanted to be different. And so I was. And I joined the Air Force at 17, left home and joined the Air Force. I didn't really fit in there. I did very well.
You're working in the Air Force in UK or
in the UK?
Other
yeah,
parts?
in the UK. And they made me senior woman when I started. So I obviously had leadership skills, but I was always trying to fit outside that box and the rules. So probably wasn't really the right place for me. And then when my personality came out and developed, I realised that actually it was probably not the place I should be. So I left and found myself in sales. And I had an extremely eclectic, fast-paced sales career, clawing my way up from the bottom. And then my last employed position was as head of client development for a big branding agency down in London. But at 32 years old, I left and I started my own very maverick and disruptive marketing company. And that's when I thought that I was living my life on purpose. I thought, this is it. Yeah. I'm doing what I was on this planet to do. But you know it didn't turn out like that.
Yeah, I've heard about that before. But just during your marketing time, I'm sure you must have been very passionate about the work, right?
Yeah.
So what made you realize actually that this is not the thing or you are not the purpose that you are here for?
I think for me, when I think that something's my purpose, I do it until something takes over. So it was only when something took over that I thought, oh, I've not been on the right path. So I did think I was on the right path. For me, it was really easy to build rapport with people. And I actually found that I could do it far better than other people, far quicker, to the extent where I could build rapport with people over the phone. So I was picking up the phone and cold calling people like the vice president of global marketing at Sony Ericsson or the marketing director at Microsoft. And I was getting appointments with them for my CEO to go and meet them. And I was building rapport so quickly. It's because I was reading what they wanted and needed really, really quickly. It was a talent that I had.
Did you knew that actually when you are good at it back then, or it just came naturally for you?
It came naturally. So as a child, every time I said, what's wrong with so-and-so, I was always told, stop being oversensitive. You know, that's not right. That's not true. You're being oversensitive. I look back now and I think, no, I just saw what you didn't see.
All right.
So I had insight. And I know why I had insight now, but I didn't then. I didn't understand why I had that insight. But now I look back and I get it.
So since now you know why it was, would you like to share with me?
Yeah, of course. So 4 years ago, it was my own work that was going, Aruga, there is something about your behaviour. So I went and I got assessed, and I was assessed with ADHD. So I'm neurodivergent. And some of the, I'm not going to call them superpowers, because a lot of people in in the neurodivergent world
Yeah.
get offended with the word superpowers because there are so many people that struggle with elements of
course.
neurodivergence.
Yeah.
I definitely have superpowers. And those, you know, being able to read what people aren't saying, to pick up on their microfacial expressions,
Yes.
their eye contact, those
Yeah.
tiny little things. I'm planning it and I'm working out what they want and need,
All right.
and I'm seeing things that other people don't see.
All right.
So it's due to my neurodivergence that I can do it.
Okay. So for our listeners, because different people attach ADHD or neurodivergent
Yeah.
being a sickness or something like that, how would you define that? It might not be a superpower, but for some it can be considered, especially this part of the world.
Yeah.
A lot of times when a kid is diagnosed with, for example, ADHD, the parents are very worried.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think that because society have looked at it as being, they call it neurodivergent.
Yeah.
It's saying that there is something special, different about that person. First of all, that's wrong. That's wrong. We shouldn't be calling it neurodivergent, because actually I believe there are more people with neurodivergence than aren't, which means that it's not neurodivergent at all. And the thing I say, when people think that it's a disability, or something that's wrong that needs to be fixed, you just look back on every single person in history who has done something incredible.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it was Mozart, it doesn't matter whether it was Newton, it doesn't matter who it is. If you look at them and try and profile their behaviour, you can almost guarantee they're neurodivergent. Almost guarantee it. You pick anyone out in history and you look at what they've done and you can see elements of neurodivergent in their behaviour.
Actually, in extreme cases, if we really apply these theories, sometimes people could say that every single person is different, so they are neurodivergent, right? Or they
neurodiverse. So everyone is neurodiverse.
Yeah.
Neurodivergent
Is
actually describes the difference. That's somebody that's different. So you're right in terms of the fact that we're all neurodiverse.
Okay.
So we have to be careful of the language. But someone who is neurodivergent, that's where they've got it wrong. Now, as a behaviour profiler, I can say, with the evidence of thousands of profiles, when the experts say 20% of our population are neurodivergent, I say no. 70% are neurodivergent,
Is it?
which means that's not neurodivergent at all.
So that means it's not abnormality, actually.
Yeah.
So where this the discrimination or the identifying these differences is identifying, for example, somebody with ADHD as a kid with some abnormality or special needs or something like that. Special needs, of course, I can understand it, because they might have, depending on the severity of the case, they might have special needs than the normal kids, right?
Yeah.
But why the differentiation is identified? They are called like different.
I think
So
if I can give the example of me, I think if my teachers back in the day, and I'm quite old now, so I'm glad we've moved on, but back in the day, it's the polar activity that highlights neurodivergence, okay? And that polar activity will be something like, at 11 years old, I had my first poem published. I was incredibly creative. I would go off and just hyper-focus and write poem after poem after poem, and yet I couldn't get my maths right. There's polar behaviour. And I would be brilliant at anything creative, but anything structured, I'd really struggle. Now, if you take a child like that and you support what they're really good at and help them excel at that, it doesn't matter that there's stuff that they're not very good at, because someone else can do that. But you let them concentrate what they're doing. The problem is that teachers used to say, you're really good at that, so you don't need to do any of that anymore, but you're rubbish at that, so we need to do more work. And the example was, I was really good at music. I was top of the year at my music exam. So my teacher said, drop music. You don't need to take O-level. You can pick it up at A-level because you're so good. So let's concentrate on Latin and maths. And of course, I failed all my exams because You try and make someone good at something they're not good at, and they just get frustrated. If they can't do it, then if you're using extra energy to try and make them better at that, then all you're doing is dulling the energy from where they're good. You're pulling that energy. You've only got a finite amount of energy, and if you're pulling it away from the things you're good at to use it on things that you're not good at, the best thing we can do is make someone mediocre. Who wants to be mediocre?
I think that is it, why that difference is it is a social belief, or because of the way schools' performance is being evaluated, or why that difference is coming, the way why people are not encouraging actually what kids are good at?
I think it was probably well intended. I think if you're preparing a child for adulthood and for employment, you want them to have the best of everything. I think what we failed to realise is if somebody is polar, then actually it's much more useful to support what they're good at and let them fly. And I now have a keynote which is called The Astonishing Advantages of Neurodivergence.
Okay.
I'm trying to educate people. Somebody might have ADHD and you might be thinking, oh, what special services, what special help do you need? What am I going to have to do in order to support you? You should be saying, great, I know that you're going to be able to hyper-focus. I know that you're going to be really creative.
Yes.
I know you're going to have more empathy than someone else. So put you in a role where you shine.
Yes.
That's what we should be doing.
Yeah. I think, that's very true. And I think you're right. In the past also, the people who has actually created the extraordinary things, or the extraordinary scientists, they must be actually, they must have got the chance to actually create that, right? And then when you study...
Or they went away and did their own thing.
Yeah, they went and do their own thing, rather than the normal structured employment and the structured commerce, I would say, and rather they went into become their own entrepreneurs or whatever. So how that has helped you actually to realize that, for example, branding or sales was not the thing for you?
I think branding and sales was good for me at the time. I just didn't realise there was something better.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a life-changing experience, and that recalibrated my beliefs, it recalibrated my values, and it set me on a completely different trajectory.
In fact, I have heard you speaking about that incidents that led to your realization. And not to go into detail about it, I think it was the tsunami, right, in 1984?
2004.
Yeah, sorry, it's 2004 tsunami. And then you were with your husband in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka was one of the most devastated countries, and you experienced that. But when you came out from that experience, and when you went back to UK, what made you actually, at which point you thought to pivot?
I think when I came back, I had a week's worth of lessons that equaled a lifetime's worth of lessons. It was very fast learning in a week. So in the face of adversity, I believe that you pick up an awful lot more. The brain works 10 to the dozen, and you're soaking in everything that's happening. And it's only with hindsight and reflection that you can make sense of it.
Yeah.
So initially, all I realised was that every time I went to work, I was being physically sick.
Okay.
The doctors kept telling me that, you know, I had some kind of acid reflux problem. It was probably due to stress. But my whole body was going, you don't want to go to work. Yeah. The only thing that I wanted to do and spend my time on was the Decoding Village Fund. So the charity we created, just all I wanted to do was that. I wanted to help people. I wanted to do the radio interviews, the TV interviews. I wanted to go out and shake people and say, look what's going on. Look what's happened. Okay. You know, give some money. Let's have some financial equilibrium on this planet. And I found that was a massive passion. And I didn't understand why I had no interest for this brilliant business that I'd created that was winning all sorts of awards, and I put my life and soul into it, and I had no interest in it anymore. Yeah. It turns out that because I had 14 staff, I kept turning my back on what I wanted to do and carried on doing what I thought I should do. And what that did is it chipped away at me bit by bit by bit I started off by I had slip disc and an internal infection, which I needed to treat, illness and injury after the tsunami. But then I had the worst eczema you've ever seen on my hands and my feet. I had this acid reflux problem. I had fibromyalgia. I got diabetes. I got PTSD. I got adrenal exhaustion. Everything just kept attacking me. And me being me, thinking I was really resilient, I was like, I'll carry on, I'll carry on. And the more I did it, the more life threw at me until finally I was flat on my back and I couldn't move. I couldn't make it. I had very severe sleep apnea as well. And I couldn't make it from my bed to my sofa. So it was almost like my body was going, no, lie down and stay down until we calibrate.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, until we recalibrate.
Yeah, so that is how life actually make you to. So then how you found your current passion?
So what happened was I was drawn to helping people, and I realised that actually everything that I thought I wanted was wrong. So, you know, this business I created, when I was out in Sri Lanka thinking about what I wanted, I didn't think about my sales figures once. I didn't think about whether my staff were hitting their targets. I didn't worry whether my clients were hitting their targets. That wasn't important to me. What was important to me were other things. It was about people. It was about people I cared about and all those things. And I found that what happens is sometimes in adversity, you get a wake-up call. You get a recalibration of your values. And somebody goes, you're on the wrong path. And I found that what fulfilled me and made me feel awesome was doing all of the fundraising that we were doing, looking after orphanages in Sri Lanka. It just filled my soul. All I wanted to do was I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a difference. And that led me down a different route. And when I started to look back and think, what were those lessons? What did I witness? And how can I put that into some kind of context? I started off by becoming a behaviour analyst. So I was using other people's tools in order to try and understand human behaviour on a deeper level. And it was very, very quick that I realised I'd outgrown every single tool that I'd been using. And it wasn't giving me the answers I needed. No, I need more than that. I need something that says, why does that person behave in that way? And why does that person behave like that? What's the difference? And why do they perceive each other in a different way? And I couldn't get the answers. So I ended up doing what a lot of ADHD people do. And I hyper-focused and I learned and learned and learned. And I ended up writing my own analyses.
Did you go back to college to learn that? You learned on your own?
The thing is, with behaviour profiling, even though it's a solid science, there's no measurement of it. So it's because it's a soft skill. If somebody says, how well can you read body language, Michelle? There's no exam that says how right I am or how wrong I am.
Exactly.
The only person that you can, if I'm reading you and say, this is what your body language says, you're the only person that can tell me whether I'm right or not.
Exactly.
And it's the same with every soft skill. And because behaviour profiling is a soft skill in many ways, it's not something you can go to college and learn. So the only way that you can become an expert in that field is when thousands of people say, you are spot on and nobody else has ever been that close. So it's the other person telling you that, you know, that you are accurate that allows you to say, I know what I'm doing. And when you get to the stage, when you've got people that are just delivering profiles, that's one thing, that's a level of understanding. But when you get to the level that you can ask the right questions, answer the right answers, do the algorithms, and then give you a 28-page report that goes, boom, that's who you are, and you're sat there going, no way, I can't believe this is amazing. That's when you can call yourself an expert.
Yeah. So your tool does that now to people?
I've got lots of tools that do lots of things. I've got a tool that will show you what truly drives you subconsciously, what motivates you, what's going to give you energy in life, what's going to give you fulfillment. Now, you bear in mind, most coaches will tell you, I can do that for you, but it's going to take me 3 years in order to get you to the place where you really truly know what your passion is and what's going to give you fulfillment. I can do it in 7 minutes.
Whoa, that's wonderful.
I can do it on my analysis in 7 minutes.
Yeah,
It
why
might
spend
take
7
me
years when you can do it in 7 minutes?
exactly.
isn't it?
It might take me an hour
Yeah.
to walk through the feedback, but I will give you the tools and say, there you go.
Okay.
And all you've got to do is follow it.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So how long you have been using these tools? How many?
So I've been
over the years. How many clients you have served?
I've got thousands of analysis results, thousands. So I've been using other people's tools, and I was a partner in another firm where I was using their tools. And they were good, but I still saw the mistakes. I still saw the holes. And you give me any behaviour profiling tool and I can tell you where they're going wrong. Well, they've asked a question there that's going to elicit the wrong answer, and therefore it's not going to give you a wholly accurate representation of my behaviour.
Exactly.
So I've seen where people take someone else's analysis and instead of creating their own, what they do is they take someone else's, they reverse engineer it, they stick their own name on it and go, yeah, I've done one. So I refused to do that. What I did is I went back to the originator's work. So when it came to the behaviour profile, I went back to the originator's work, William Moulton Marsden, the creator of DISC. And I decided that he was the expert I wanted to pick up the mantle from. And I understood what he really meant by the words. And and therefore, that's why my behaviour profile, as far as I'm concerned, is more accurate, because I understand what he really meant. Now, when it comes to the motivation tool, the core driving forces analysis, I wrote that from scratch. I think I might have just been channeled in that one. I don't know where it came from, but it's an amazing tool.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that also shows that when you are neurodivergent, actually, whatever you're doing, you can do actually better than the so-called normal people. Yeah.
Yeah, I will be honest.
Yeah.
I am brilliant at some things. I am shocking at others.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted me to do a crossword, I can't do it.
All right.
Because I can't think the way that other people think. So when someone else is reading the cues, I'm going, well, I wouldn't think like that. I can't do a crossword. If you want to challenge me to a game of Scrabble, I'll put money on it that I'll beat you. So the creative side of it, creating a word with the letters I've got, I'm really good at. But when I'm having to fit a pattern...
pattern of somebody else's identify, that is where it's wrong. So how is this passion or rather the passion of actually identifying neurodivergence and serving people in this area, where you think the purpose lies?
So for me, the purpose, it's all about collaboration. What I learnt in the aftermath of the tsunami was that people can communicate brilliantly when the chips are down. So when you hear people in your organisation saying, I don't get on with Michelle, I can't communicate with her, we've got a communication problem, that's an excuse. Because when you need to, you can communicate, you can find a way to communicate effectively. I realised that in the face of adversity, that if we release that hierarchy and we realise that everyone has got something of value to bring to the party, and we recognise what you bring to the party, and it might be very small, but if we put it with somebody else's very small thing and we amalgamate it and collaborate, we can create something greater than the sum of our parts, something that we would not one of us would have been able to come up with on our own. So for me, understanding each other is the start. Understanding ourselves and each other is the start. Understanding what motivates and fires every one of us up, that's the key to motivation. That's the key to excelling at what we do. And then putting that together and showing people that all we need in order to collaborate effectively is either a shared goal or a shared enemy, then all of a sudden you've got this brilliant way of going into organisations and allowing leaders to unlock their people power. You've got a brilliant tool that can help you go to an individual and help them unlock their own magnificence and watch them fly. And there is nothing that fills my soul more than watching someone blossom.
What a wonderful and noble cause, right? But then how...
hold on, you said noble. I'm going to pick you up on that. You said noble. I appreciate that. But my driving force is to help other people excel. So therefore, it's not even altruistic. It serves me. It fills my bucket.
Actually, if you look at the effects of it, it's really being altruistic. It's also being helping yourself.
It
right?
is, yeah.
So how that led you to find professional speaking, which you are doing now, and you are the president of the Professional Speakers UK and Ireland.
One mistake that that some people make is they think that because of my story, that's why I became a speaker. That's not true. I was a speaker when I was a 33-year-old multi-award winning CEO. The Chambers of Commerce asked me to speak. They said, Michelle, will you come and speak for us? And then a spin-off of the Chamber of Commerce, which was called Business Link, they're government funded, and they said, Michelle, we love what you do.
Okay.
Can you come and educate small businesses, young businesses? So they started to pay me to speak back in 2002. So I was paid to speak alongside my own business as far ago as 2002, 2 years before I was even in the Boxing Day Tsunami. So I was always speaking, and I continued to speak. Even through my illnesses, I continued to speak, but I was talking about communication, about marketing, even communicating over the phone. So when I was telling you that I was doing those really high-profile appointments with one phone call, I put it all in a book, Phone Genius, The Art of Non-Visual Communication.
Yes.
And I was talking on those subjects. It was only when I got to 10 years past or more that suddenly everything that had happened fell into place, and I realised how it all tied together. It's almost like I put all the ingredients into a big soup bowl, and it was just marinating and marinating, and then at one point it just went, here's a beautiful soup, you know, and it just made sense. And I thought, okay,
now you need to keep cooking that soup.
Now I know the recipe. Now I know the ingredients. Now I know the recipe. Now I've got that recipe written down. Now I can deliver it to everyone.
So when you had that realization, what did you feel like? Did you feel like it was like a calling, or?
Oh, more than a calling. I felt channeled. I felt it was like, I describe it a bit like a quickening. There are certain areas or certain times in your life when it's a real struggle. You're wading through mud and nothing's happening, no doors are opening, and you keep trying, and then all of a sudden something happens, all the floodgates open, and you're just accelerating, and you're winning, and doors are opening, and everyone's going, yes, I love it. And all of a sudden you have this quickening in your development. You're leaping forward, and then again you'll come to another block where suddenly things start to go slow again. So for me, those little areas of massive creativity, it's like a quickening in my development, in my evolution, and you know, they come from time to time. It's a beautiful thing.
Wonderful, isn't it? So we talk about becoming unretireable, and then you also told me that you love the concept of it. And so how do you think your current passion of helping others and seeing others blossoming has actually made you not to retire in the future or become unretirable and continue what you are doing now?
It's certainly, it's not about finances. That doesn't drive me. You can do my driving forces and you'll see my utilitarian score is very low. That's not what drives me. So it's not that I have to be financially free. For me, when you do something that is your true purpose, there is no retirement date. I don't have to retire. People are saying, you know, we joked about this, you know, I'm coming out to the Maldives, I'm doing 4 speaking engagements, and everyone's so jealous. And I'm like, I'm so lucky to be doing this. It's not a job. When you're affecting people, when you're helping people to excel in their own life, and you're passing on gifts, how can you call that a job? A job is a chore. It's not a chore, it's a pure joy.
Yes.
And so therefore, why would I ever want to stop? I might slow down, maybe I'll get ill, who knows? But as long as I've still got a voice, or as long as I can still type, I will still keep sharing this stuff because it fills me, fulfills me. You know, it feeds me life. It doesn't take life away from me.
So that means when you are invited to speak in a country like Maldives, where like I'm sure 100% of the people from UK want to visit, and they are thinking, oh, you're going on holiday.
Yeah.
And here you're saying that, no, I'm going to serve a bigger purpose.
I am serving a big purpose, yeah. And I'm grateful for every opportunity that allows me to share what I've learnt, because I believe wherever this comes from, I don't know what the answers are. I'm not an expert in this field, but I truly believe that if you go through experiences that teach you so much, it is not your right to keep it to yourself. It's not your right. Why would you have been given such magnificent tools if you weren't meant to share it?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because you have a superpower or a positive abnormality, what I would say, in your life, and then you have found this calling. Then why not share, right? And how do you think becoming financially? You mentioned that you are not financially, you don't consider the financial benefits of it. But somebody might say that if you don't have finance or you don't get paid for this, you wouldn't be doing it, because survival is the first, even my Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The basic needs you have to meet. So what is your thought on that?
I think there's a very deep psychological reason that I had an aversion to earning. So prior to the tsunami, I was earning very decent money. I was holidaying in the Maldives a lot, spending my money on dive equipment and sports cars and all that kind of stuff. But then the thing that gave me the most pressure, the thing that gave me the most angst, the thing that gave me the most stress and the most post-traumatic stress was the imbalance of financial equilibrium on this planet. I was leaving orphans and friends with nothing, with a shell of a house, and I was coming back to the UK, live in the land of luxury. I have a system that will pay me if I don't have a job. I can turn the tap on and water will come out. And so my level of luxury, what gives me the right to have that, and for someone in Sri Lanka or Indonesia to not have that right. There is no fairness. The only difference is where we were born. And that's something I couldn't swallow. I just couldn't understand how unfair that was. And I used to spend all my time trying to educate people and saying, can't you understand what's going on? But when people get used to a lifestyle, they don't want to let go. They don't want to share it with their brothers and their sisters who are suffering. They want to shut their eyes to what's happening on the other side of the planet. And I couldn't do it. It is honestly only in the last 18 months, 12 months, that suddenly I've allowed myself to start earning good money again for what I do. So it's been 20 years of me working on that to get to a place where I say, yeah, the more I can earn, the more good I can do with it. And I think the psychological damage that I went through, I was holding on to that. And it was stopping me from excelling to a certain extent.
Michelle, thank you very much for being on my show. And is there any last words of wisdom over the years which you have collected, or some philosophy or something you live by which you like to share with my audience, which can make a difference to them?
I think, okay, I'm going to, it's a bit bizarre. My dad's funny. My dad's from Myanmar. He's half Burmese. He was born in Myanmar, came over to the UK at 17, joined the army. But he's still got a funny accent. And he says some really profound and unprofound things at times. And when we were saying, when we talk about quotes and things like that, my dad says, what goes up must come down. And at the time, we kind of burst out laughing and took the mick out of him for a little while. He's like, Dad, what's that? But actually, in the most stressful times, to remember my dad, to hear my dad on my shoulder saying, what goes up must come down, there's such a simplicity to that. There is, there's balance.
All right.
From what happens on one side of the coin, something else will happen on the other. And actually, it's far more profound than I think he ever meant. So I thank my dad for that. And I'll still giggle every time we say it, but every time anyone in our family.
That has a very profound meaning, isn't it? Because it says, Like, for example, I think it is in simpler forms. If you're going to comfort someone, you can say that, because even adversities or sorrow or depression or sadness doesn't last forever, right? It's only a phase people go through, isn't it?
It is, you're right.
Unless somebody is not clinically ill, right?
Yeah,
In a sense, yeah.
absolutely. And I think there's just one thing that I
Yeah.
do want to end on, and it's something that I was taught at 17, 18 years old when I was training in the Royal Air Force. And I remember they put me on this exercise, and it was boiling hot, and we had these big packs on our back, and they were force marching us through the mountains. And I remember thinking, I saw the headlines of the newspaper flash before me. WAF dies in immense heat because the sergeants kept beasting her through it. And of course I didn't, because I'm still here. The feeling when I allowed myself to be pushed outside of what I thought was capable, 17, 18 years old, when I had that lesson, the feeling of euphoria was incredible. And I think that is a lesson that I've tried to recreate. Every time I think I couldn't do that, I couldn't write my own behaviour profile, hyper-focus on it, do it, and then look back and it's just like, whoa, did I really do that?
Yeah.
So keep finding something that you don't think you can do.
Okay.
And keep having a go at it.
What a profound way to end this chat. Thank you very much, Michelle, for being on the podcast. And I really enjoyed this conversation, but we don't have all the time in the world. Otherwise, I would like to continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And for our viewers and listeners, as Michelle has mentioned, always try to find something which is outside your comfort zone or which you are not good at, and keep striving for it. And find a purpose in your life, become passionate about it, and become unretireable. Thank you very much.